plan of attack. We're going to go into the gym. We're going to work through prep with purpose. A big part of today for me is the learning process. It's not really a case of we're all just going to do a session and we're just going to go through it. Like, a big thing for me is just we don't want to go through the motions. So I want you coming away with learnings, how you move, maybe small cues within exercises that you were like, fuck, I wasn't doing that before. Jesus, this feels completely different to maybe what I've been doing over the last 4 weeks or 6 weeks or 8 weeks. Those small kind of things I just want you to be able to take away from today in terms of the coaching side of things, in terms of executing movements. It's called prep with purpose. It has a purpose. It's aligned with what you're about to do in the pitch, and you've all probably seen it already in terms of acceleration, change of direction stuff, preparing with purpose in the gym, feeling those postures, feeling those positions, so that it actually can transfer to what you're doing on the pitch. And it's so key that you don't go through the motions with that kind of work, because it is the compounding effect that comes with that kind of work. It's doing it consistently, time and time again. It's just, a lot of it is a skill, and it's repping it consistently learning, and then you start to feel that change in terms of how you're actually moving on the pitch. Then we'll go out into the 4G and we'll go through different bits of speed. So we'll do bits of acceleration, again, lots of coaching and different things you can work on, different constraints that you can actually add. We'll have a bit of lunch. We'll go back into the gym and do some strength work. Again, it's not going to be like lifting, like trap or deadlift or heavier lift. It's more the specific kind of strength, thinking about what areas of the body we're actually loading, what positions we want our pelvis to be in, like different movement patterns, like maybe extending the hip before we extend the knee, like different things like that, and how we're executing different strength movements within the gym. And then we'll come back in here, we'll do a bit of a recap and a vision setting session. So we'll make our way into the gym here now, sure, we'll get the ball rolling. Just going to work on some simple pelvic tilts. Again, another really simple, basic exercise, but can be quite difficult to execute to a high level. So we're simply trying to bring our pelvis into an anterior tilt and back into a posterior tilt. When your pelvis moves, your rib cage is also going to move. It all works in tandem and nearly works like a cog. So as you go into an anterior tilt, you should feel a bit of space under your back, and you should feel your ribs nearly expand and rise as you do that. So try and think of the two working together. So anterior tilt, ribs rise. With that, you want to try and get an inhale, so expand the whole area, and then we're trying to close it as we posterior tilt and tuck back under and close the space under your back. So from here, ribs close down, pelvis tucks under, and we just try and get as many reps of that as we can, making it feel as clean as possible. Again, you'll feel the space under your back as you anterior tilt, and then you're closing that, the ribs are coming down, the obliques are coming on, and you're closing that space as you tilt forward again. Really, really slow and controlled here is what I'm looking for. If you've mastered that, you can also start thinking about the head and thinking about the neck. So as you tilt forward and you anterior tilt and your ribs expand, your chin nearly tucks down naturally towards your chest. Exhale, tilt back under, and then your eyes start to look behind you as your chin tucks back up again. And again, over time, lads, the more you rep this, the more consistent you are, the more that pelvis will start to free up. Because it's not about, people talk about anterior tilt or posterior tilt, and oh, I'm stuck in anterior tilt, but it's more about just, can you access an anterior tilt and can you access the posterior tilt? Can you get in and out of those positions with control? That's the key. And then I'm going to go into here as well, the pelvic shifting. If you could nail those two things consistently over time and rep them out and focus on the cues and keep improving at them, how you feel at the hips is going to be so much better. We'll go into some scissor slides in the walls. One of you were mentioning before that you just ended up here and you're going in, so you're just bringing yourself up a hip extension to try and find room and find space. Try and be strict with that. So you're starting here, a nice tiny tuck. So if you barely even be able to see it, where I just go there. Now that stays on the ground. I'm just closing that space off. So my back's not like, you wouldn't be able to get anything underneath my back. I'm just closing it a wee bit or tilting the pelvis back a wee bit, and then we're trying to slide. So I'm simply trying to get this femur into the socket and slide the opposite one up. So I'm isolating the pelvic shift. Some athletes genuinely could get to there, and that'll be all the space they currently have. So you'd try and get to that point and breathe, feel this adductor engaging, and then you're coming back down. And over time, you're just trying to open that up rather than just straight away trying to find space. Like, fuck, I can't do this, I don't have much space, I'm just going to go up here and try and get it. Like, you're not actually going to be
it's key to just accept that. I think, like, it's like some of us, my range isn't huge on that. It's just accept your range, because if you're trying to borrow, if you think it needs to be a huge movement, you're just trying to borrow from other places. So the stricter you can be, and if it's the tiniest little shift, you're actually shifting what's supposed to be shifting. And then that wee squeeze on just a little bit of a squeeze on the roller does allow you to get that engaged in the groin. You'll feel a little bit more feedback, which can help the whole thing as well.
If you find that really difficult, we can just go side lying, and again, a lot of you have probably done this before, and it just allows the pelvis, like it's nearly a freer movement, and straight away you can probably see that I'm able to get much more range out of that. And then we can start to progress that, where as you're rolling back, you're pushing down into the foam roller, so that you're actually starting to engage that adductor as well. But again, the key thing here is that we're not just sliding back again. Back's just the thing that's moving it here. I'm trying to isolate this hip, shift in, push down, adductors lighten up, and then we're just moving in and out of that on each side. Does anyone want to demonstrate it? A big thing of this is feel. If it feels completely off, it probably is. So sometimes you just need to adjust a few things in terms of your positioning. But how did that feel there?
Good, yeah.
Felt better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thinking about it more.
Yeah, so it's that back position, the pelvis positioning, and trying to slow it down a wee bit more and nearly take tension away from other areas.
Yeah.
So you're going into it in a freer kind of a mindset or whatever. The key thing when you're doing the banded dead bug is kind of tension as well. Typically you'll see just come up to this position, there's been no focus on where the tension that's around your core, where your rib cage is, and you end up working in positions that you don't really want to be working in. Again, back's extended. So the key is the setup position. So from here, the only thing I'm thinking of first and foremost is the band, is the tension, is getting a nice reach and getting my arms forward. So that straight away, my ribs are coming down. So as I bring that tension, ribs are coming down, pelvis is tucking under a wee bit, and I'm getting that tension. I'm starting to get the obliques and the core really switching on. So it's inhale, exhale, feel the tension in the band, feel the reach in the band, and that's locked in. Like that's as locked in as I can get it, and the core's really working. And from there, we're starting to go into extension. The key here, I'm barely fit to speak, is that when we're going into the extension on each side, is that you don't lose that core position. Okay, so again, pelvis, core, we don't lose that as we go into it. So that stays locked in. Again, the breath is huge here. So inhale, and as you exhale, that's when the ribs start to close in, and that's when the core starts to come on and the obliques start to engage. And again, that comes with time, and it comes with just doing it more often and really focusing on that breath every single time you do it. So and it nearly should be one of them ones where you feel like you're vibrating, because a lot of athletes are weak in there. They don't have good trunk control, good pelvis control, and this is one really, really good way to improve that.
The arms locked.
Yeah.
Right up. Good.
Locked up, reach. Bring these elbows down to meet. Yeah, and keep reaching high. Keep reaching high. You feel that? So inhale now, and then blow as much air as you can out, and feel that closing in. You feel the core lighten up and the tension coming. And now let's go with keep the core locked in. Good. Back up. Get that knee up. Good. Core don't lose the core. Don't lose the core. Keep the reach. Band tension. Good. You feel that difference? Try and finish a rep before you start another one. So the knee comes back up before you start the next knee down. Try not to just be switching them all the time, because again, you'll probably lose that control. Another one I was just mentioning there, if you start to feel this in your lower back, I'd probably just reset, start again. Just go back down, get the band again, and try and get that tension again, and try and get the breath work going, the exhales going, so you really enclose those ribs and you get the core locked in, and then you're repping it out from there. If you start to lose it, you don't want to just keep repping through when your lower back's kicking in, because it's just not what we want in terms of how we want our hips to move. So we're going to go into rangefinders now. You've hopefully done the rangefinders in the program as well, but I'm just going to coach you through again. Hopefully you take some kind of learning from how we're actually executing these. So we're going to focus today on the acceleration based rangefinder, and the key thing of this is postures, positions, again, pelvis, rib cage, what we're actually feeling in this movement. it can be easy to go into this again and just go through the motions and be like, just focusing on your knee getting up or something, but I want you to be able to feel like a strong acceleration based position and then inch out a wee bit more range over time with it. So you're trying to start, again, pelvis, slight tuck under, nice and strong position, forward lean, foot is key here, and you're bringing the knee up only as much range you can get without losing the pelvis. So again, I don't want to see this here extending at the back. Back's quiet, hips on, slight bend in the knee, and then you're driving back down into that position and it's nice and strong. And then you're just trying to hold that pelvis position, hold that slight bend in the knee, hold the foot pressure that feels like you're actually going to be able to push into the rack, and then you're bringing it back down. Don't lose the hip, so don't lose that. Keep it nice and strong, and I'm getting a wee bit more range out of that each time now as I go. Rib cage down as well, up and down. So taking the band away, when we're in these positions, a key thing is how, like, what kind of level of push do you feel in this position? So when we're coming into here, I want to be able to feel like I could nearly push this fucking thing over. Whereas if I'm in a really passive position and I'm just here, you're just kind of hanging out in a position and you're not really working on anything. So foot, pressure, slightly off the floor, about there, slight bend in the knee, and then we're extending the hip through. So from there, I feel like I could attack the floor and go forward. Good. Yeah. Try and bring the back foot a wee bit further away from you. Yeah, so now you're in a nice strong acceleration position. Down. And as this knee comes up, don't lose this, don't lose this. Good. Yeah. So how much range can you get while holding those positions? A wee bit more slight bend in that back knee. Tiny, maybe not as much as that. Yeah, there. There. And back down. One more slow. Bring this a wee bit. There. Now can we speed that up? Can we speed that up without losing it? Good. Good. Then can we go fast without losing it? And always get the foot back to here, so you're attacking back and down. Good. Good, strong. Good. Better, a lot better. Yeah. Do you feel that?
It's harder to keep it straight when I'm flexible.
Yes.
Like my knee wants to do that there, and I'm trying to keep my knee straight instead of actually focusing on keeping my hip tucked.
Right.
If you get
It's
me,
just
I think it's the band's too strong.
Yeah.
The
And then
hardest
it's a
part
space
was
thing.
whenever it was coming up, my knee just wanted to
Rotate out. Yeah. No. And that's just putting more intent probably in the slower reps.
Right.
Just that control.
Right.
You know, so once you have the control, because it's hard if you can't do it in a control, slower movement, it's going to be very difficult to do it as you start to increase the speed.
I was fine going slow, and then once the speed started to pick up.
Yeah, and that's the challenge.
Yeah,
that's the challenge, really. Yeah. So this is another one that I want you to really tune in and think more about. When it comes to max velocity and upright running, we want to have system stiffness, we want to have reactivity on the floor. This is a really good one to be able to isolate that. So you're coming down, you're actually having intent to strike the floor and actually switch the limbs and have stiffness throughout the chain. So key mistakes we see is just no intent to the floor, sink you into the floor. You don't have that system stiffness that you want when you're sprinting. So when I talk about system stiffness, I mean stiffness from the knee to the hip to the trunk, right up the chain. And that's why it can be useful to bring in things like reaches. So we're starting in the box and I'm just trying to bring as much intent into that floor as I possibly can, as if I'm like smashing a nail into the floor. And again, you can start from higher positions. And you kind of know by the sound when you're hitting the floor, differences can definitely show up right to left, and it's just something you can continually work on. So don't even start from as high, so you're starting from way up here. Start from a wee bit closer so you can build that.
See the way you went like this with your left foot first?
No, just start with the left foot in the box. So build, yeah, but get the arms involved, and don't start this foot from as high off the floor. intent, smash that floor, smash the floor, system stiffness, right up through the chain. I want to see the stiffness. Good, Kane. Now start, just start.
I'm constantly here.
Yeah, it's just a coordination thing with you. So start with that foot on the box.
Yeah.
Now you're up there and now you're switching.
So, yeah, I'm trying
You're finishing back in the same position, you get me? Yeah. And now once you build the skill and you're able to actually do it, then it's right, how much intent can I bring? Can I bring more intent? So you want to hear that slap off the floor, lads. And that can just come over time. It can be difficult to do that straight away. Good. Yeah, so the bounce is gonna bring you back to the box rather than like you're slapping down with this. Yeah. So the bounce is, and then I'm nearly finishing up there. Okay. You get me? You're getting that much force in the ground to bring you up. Yeah. That you're just nearly landing back in the box then. Okay. You get me?
Fusing.
Yeah. Okay. Instead of thinking about trying to smash that one into the. Okay. It's all about this. Yeah. More intent, bounce here, more reactive, good, good. Stiffness right through up, good, it was better.
Kind of falling back into it rather than holding like position.
Yeah, yeah, but that'll come once you get more proficient with the actual bounciness of that one. Another key cue, lads, toe up. We don't want to be plantar flex when we're trying to strike the floor. Where do we want to strike the floor? It's with that toe up, dorsiflex, hitting the floor with intent. We're going to start off with resisted acceleration. So we'll start off with a march first. What we're looking for in the march is obviously that forward lean, pelvis position, where we're striking the floor. Yeah. So when we're accelerating, where do we want to go? That way. We don't want to go, because you're a mass, you're a still mass. Like the only way you're going to get up to speed going that way is by putting force that way. So that's why the band allows us to get into that horizontal position and allows you to actually start bringing intent to how you're hitting the floor. Let's go. Go for a march first. Down and back, more forward lean, good. More intent, eyes. Yep. Okay, that was very good. So just watch what he's doing here. Good, forward lean, intent. And he's not trying to like fucking drive his knees up into these mad positions. What's happening is by putting the force into the floor, his knees naturally come up into those positions. It's not that you want to drive your knee up here, because the further you drive your knee up, the further you are from the floor, and you can just get into that passive range where it's actually harder to put force into the floor. So that comes as a byproduct of this. You get me? More force. Let's go into it again. Use the arms. A lot of you aren't using the arms. Good, better. Good, Jack. Go forwards. Use the hips. The hips are projecting you forwards. Use the hips. Good. You know, similar thing, you're trying to get into that forward lean posture, you're trying to focus on smashing back and down into the floor. You're trying to focus on the hip projecting into space. Again, it comes back to what we did in the gym. Hips are doing the work, not the back. So that's why I always talk about a quiet back. Because if you can build up that strength and that robustness in the gym with a quiet back, the hips doing the work, the hips pushing you forward, the knees delayed, the hips extending first. That transfers over and you can progress that to what you're doing in the pitch in terms of the hips extending you forward. And that's why it's nice to do it here in a controlled environment. You're slowing it right down, you're getting to feel what that actually feels like, and then you can start ramping that up, which we're going to do here now. One that I see all the time that athletes really struggle to get that kind of connection with, so I just want you to even learn one or two things here that you can take away into your next session. So before I get into it, anyone have any comments on what they struggle with dribbles? Or something that they can't really grasp? Or yeah, you want a dorsiflex foot, and you don't want to be landing on your heel. Like it might snap down, but the first connection is more midfoot, and the key is reactivity. So sometimes athletes go into dribbles and they're just ploddy, you know, and they're just plodding along. But you still want that intent, you still want that reactivity on the floor, and the system stiffness, as I talked about, nice and tall hips, and it's like a mini high knees. So you're starting off like wee small high knees, but you're kind of get that pop off the floor. A good one, like you are trying to, it's like nearly cycling a mini bike. But if you're struggling to grasp that, just think of small high knees that progress in the middle. So knees over ankles, so small knees over ankles first. Then you're progressing that a wee bit higher. And then as you come back, or as you come up, you're getting more into that upright positions, full range of motion. It's bouncy. I don't want any flat contacts like this. Bouncy midfoot. And then you can progress, but start with low dribbles first. Good, cycle the legs. Good, cycle a wee bike, arms, get the arms involved. Good. You feel how that progresses you into more of an upright running position? It's something you just continually work on. It allows you to share load much better around the body when you can start being more proficient in these positions. A lot of us can run backside, we're way behind us and our quads are in length positions, our hamstrings are working overtime, our calves are working overtime pushing into the floor. We want to be able to use the hips. Again, it comes back to the hips every single time. The glutes, we're trying to reinforce a bit more front side positions. So that's why the knees are starting coming in front. Bouncy. And then we can take off from that position, and then that bleeds in. That can bleed in when you're doing conditioning runs. Now, I don't want you fucking just stuck in that position all the time, but it is a nice, efficient way to kind of build up your running patterns that way, and then bleed into your max velocity sprinting. The other thing with that as well, so I'm talking about tall hips, I'm talking about pelvic stability and control, and we can start to challenge that in different ways. So one way we can do that is by crossing the arms, because a lot of us we don't really know what we're doing with our arms, and we're kind of swaying side to side. We want to build that pelvic stability too when it comes to those upright positions, so you can challenge that a wee bit more by going, and then I can feel myself starting to sway one side more than the other. You're just trying to hold that stable. Do you want to try that? So arms folded, and try and give me a dribble, and try to be nice and stable and tall hips. Tall hips.
Toes towards the sky.
Dorsiflex foot. What a use that. I'm taking the piss out of it. No, I'm only joking. So that's what I talked about when it comes to like constraints that force you to move in a certain way without you really having to overly think about it. These scissors, do you want to wrap out some scissors?
Yeah, wrap out.
So we've all probably done the scissors as well within the program. I'm just going to go through a few different things that we're looking at here. So we're looking at our ability to switch. We're also strengthening that, hamstrings ability to attack down and back into the floor with that bit of stiffness as well. Yeah, start low. Like being bouncy, but go forwards. Okay, so it can be very easy in this one to just fall into the pattern of just frequency, and you're just kicking out. I don't want you just kicking out. I want the leg to end up here again as a result of this. It happens as a result of that force that you're putting down. Slight bend in the knee as well. I don't want really straight legs. Tall hips. Bouncy. Think bouncy a lot of the time here. Bouncy and tall hips. Let's go. Bounce, 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 but attack down and back, good. Intent. Good. The other constraints we talked about there, we can bring hands overhead to really challenge that pelvis position. We can put a band around the hips to force those hips to be tall. That's another thing we can do in the gym or out in the pitch. If you're struggling with that tall hips, or you're very sinky, band around the hips straight away, that's forced to bring them up and give you that space to attack down into the floor. Let's go into that again and try and be a wee bit more intense. So you kind of know yourself what you're probably feeling in that. You feel like maybe I'm slow, I'm not reactive. Try and bring that bounce. So when you hit the floor to bounce forward, that intent is to go down and back. And then as a result of that, that's when you get that nice scissor position. You can try, if you want to just try it again, but get the arms involved. If you want to try it with the arms over the head, if you want to try it arms folded, whatever you think. Good. Projection forward, so you're covering ground, are you covering ground? Good. Right lads, we'll go through the foam roller bridge now. Again, positioning and stuff within these is going to be key in terms of what we're actually loading. Have many found this one challenging? Where in particular? Calf, hamstring, both cramping out. So again, I'm going to talk about pelvis, ribcage. So starting off, foot position is probably key. Typical, we could see athletes starting here, like too far back, and then it's all hamstring. Other athletes are too toey and they're gripping the toes and the calves cramping out. There goes mine. What we want is more of like a ball of the foot pressure, but without gripping the toes. And the intent is to bring this heel to the roof. Some of you that may cause a calf cramp and just a spasm, and you need to bring it back to maybe more of a midfoot and actually build your way up to more of like a forefoot pressure. Some athletes will cramp in the hamstring, some athletes will cramp in the calf, and that's where personally I would just start to bias different parts of the foot. So if you're always in the hamstring, I'll bias more forefoot, and I'll really try and drive your intent right up to the roof to try and get that calf working in tandem with the hamstring. If you're someone who's always cramping at the calf, I go with more of a midfoot pressure there, and I try and get more of an even kind of spread of load between the calf and the hamstring. I'm starting to cramp out the game yesterday. And a few other cues here. So slight bend in the knee again. We don't want to be really long away out here. We want to be about here. Get a slight tuck of the pelvis under. And then the thing that's bringing me off the floor is my intent with the foot. Not bridging away up just like this. It's actually the foot that's pressing down that's going to bring me up into that bridge position. So tuck nicely under. Again, rib cage stays down. Press with the foot and the hips only come slightly off the floor. And that position I'm breathing.
How are you feeling that?
Fuck me, man. hamstrings, calves. Like, I would have always been someone who cramped out in the calf, like spasmed out to the point where I just had to stop it. So I'm going more of a mid-foot pressure so that I'm spreading, I'm feeling that both in hamstring and calf now. I'm trying to push my heel to the roof and I'm feeling here with the slight tuck, and I'm feeling a good bit of calf there as well. So you're trying to want to avoid where you're simply just feeling one completely spasming out and you're trying to feel like the both of them are working hard. But again, breath work, so get the core engaged and just hold that position and be nice and try and not hold overly much tension up the body as well, and you're trying to just hold that for 30 seconds. Now, to bias more hamstring, one thing that I've been doing is going into a shorter position and more of a mid-foot. I actually like this one even pre-session, just for getting the hamstrings fired up with a bit of tendinopathy. The positioning first is absolutely key, so I do a massive inhale. And then I'm lifting off. The difference that makes in terms of how much I can feel my hamstring working in comparison to I just go is absolutely mad. When I've actually got my position or my rib cage in a locked position, in a stacked position, it has my hamstring working so much harder. Foot position. I want this part of the foot that's pressing down into the roller, but I don't want you gripping your toes. Come there. More of this here on the top of the roller. And I want you to get this heel to the roof. Up, 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 up. Come through my hand here. You feel your calf working? You don't even have to come up as high into extension here. It's again just the glute tuck. You feel it now? Calf, hamstring. Yeah, there, and then it's nearly like doing a calf root. Yeah, so the heel's coming up. Yeah.
It won't look like much on it, but it's the intensity.
The big one here, lads, it's jumping up is the foot. The foot's so key here in terms of what you're doing there. A lot of you are just putting the foot onto the roller and you're just leaving it there and you're trying to just extend the hip through. It's more what's happening at the foot and where the intent is with the foot into the roller that's going to dictate how much load's going through your hamstring and how much load's going through your calf, and we want to be able to share the load between those tissues. You feeling it all right?
Yeah.
Show us. Yeah, so your foot positioning is probably leading to that, so you're going more of a mid-foot rather than more of a forefoot.
Both there now, yeah.
So try and get this ball of your foot pressing into it, but without gripping your toes, and then bring this to the roof. You feel like if you press down into that and bring this high, you start to feel more calf.
Some of the lads are finding like the accelerator a nice cue, that they're just thinking.
Aye, like an accelerator.
The accelerator, some of the boys find a bit of joy with that.
You're just struggling with the actual intent to push.
Right side isn't too bad, getting more calf. Left side is.
Show me your right side. See, your foot position is completely different there straight away in terms of where you're actually pushing from. You're really pushing from here, and it's like it just looks well. Whereas the left, you're probably struggling to get that pressure on that part of the foot. Yeah, you seem to have less range in terms of this heel's just not getting as high off the floor. Could be like a thing of actually opening up the space around that ankle as well. To be able to bring that intent to it. I was probably a wee bit nervous in terms of coming down, in terms of like I hadn't really done something like this before, and it's something I always wanted to do. I massively enjoyed it, to be honest. Thank you for coming to everyone today.